Hey guys, so this is a reboot, or basically more or less just what if Deku was a Green Lantern or had a Green Lantern core ring. So basically, I did this what if a couple of months ago, I think I did it, but I think I never uploaded it, so don't know. But yeah, so basically, this is a what if idea that I had that I want to do. That came to me. I just wanted to do this real quick. Basically, other YouTubers have done this, and I just wanted to put it my own spin. And also, I was originally going to be making Deku African American, and trying to turn him into turn him into Jon Stewart. But I wanted to make Deku his own Green Lantern and not base him off any other Green Lanterns. Basically, Deku itself, in the anime, Deku already has a bunch of willpower. Like, he has a crazy amount of willpower, because honestly, if I grew up in a world where people around me had superpowers and I didn't, bro, I would have no willpower at all. I feel depressed as heck, bro. But Deku still is able to, still find some hope or some willpower to go on and try to become a hero, even though he has no quirk. So basically, Deku was started to be looked after by the Guardians of Oa, aka the Guardians of the Green Lantern Corps. When the time basically Deku was looked after the Guardians of Oa when Deku stood up to Bakugo, trying to save that kid that Bakugo was bullying as they were kids. Deku still got beaten up, obviously, but Deku was looked after, and pretty much the Guardians of Oa, when Deku was born, they felt a inhuman, a godly amount of willpower instantly. They were confused. Basically, they tracked that scent when Deku used his willpower or used hope or used, his courage to basically go up against Bakugo, even though he had no quirk. Deku got beaten up, but the Guardians of Oa saw Deku and basically said that he's a very exceptional willpower user. But we can't give him the ring. We can't give him the ring yet. Have to wait. So they watched Deku over the years, finding that Deku is a very good person, a true heart, and Deku does look up to heroes and tries to become a hero, even though he has no quirk, and in a world of people that have superhuman abilities that can totally body Deku at any time. So basically, they want to give Deku the edge or the power to become a hero. And plus, Deku has a ungodly amount of willpower. And the constructs or the power of the Green Lantern Ring is based off willpower. And Deku has an ungodly amount of willpower. That means Deku's constructs are going to be invincible. But Deku is going to be losing willpower then and there. But when Deku loses willpower, his constructs just get as weak as the normal thing. So if Deku made a brick wall, the construct would just be as hard as a brick wall. But if Deku was at full willpower or full capacity, the brick wall will be as hard as basically 16 Supermans. Basically, Deku's constructs will be basically invincible, harder than Kryptonian skin, stuff like that. So basically, Deku could actually pierce Superman's skin with a Green Lantern construct knife because Deku's willpower is so OP. Now basically, let's start a story. Let's continue our story. So Deku, we skip all the way up to when Deku's 16 and he's basically at the Sludge Villain attack. Deku runs into the Sludge Villain, but basically, Deku runs into the Sludge Villain, and he gets saved by All Might, still the same. And basically, All Might grabs Deku, saying Deku goodbye. Deku still grabs on the All Might and pretty much says, "Can I still become a hero without a quirk?" All Might says no, and basically, jumps off. Basically, All Might just says the same thing that he said. But actually, in this canon, All Might was able to hold his form longer, so Deku didn't know the truth. So basically, Deku just shrugged it off and was super, sad. Deku's willpower started to wither just a little bit, and the Guardians of Oa saw this. And they wanted to give Deku a little bit of an edge and give Deku the hope that he needed to succeed, because they couldn't let this amount of willpower just go unwasted. So they send a Green Lantern ring at the exact same time when Deku was sprinting into the basically fight or the situation when Bakugo was being, attacked by the sludge villain, Deku still jumped in and tried to save Bakugo, and that willpower gave the Green Lantern ring enough speed and force to reach Earth at pretty much sonic levels of speed from all the way to Oa to Earth, basically flying down to Earth, and everybody seeing a green light from the atmosphere fly down and hit Deku right in the arm, basically doing a huge burst of light. Out of nowhere, Deku emerges with his clothes ripped up but green energy around his fist. Deku looks at it closer and he sees a Green Lantern ring. Deku is confused and looks at it and feels incredible power from it. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the power of the Green Lantern, let's see. The powers of Green Lantern. He obviously the iconic power of a Green Lantern is a Green Lantern has the ability to make green energy constructs from their imagination, and Deku has a pretty wide scale imagination. And Deku has a really, pretty much creative imagination because Deku does, do some, what was it called? Deku does have incredible amount of willpower, so his constructs, even though if they are blunt and are creative, they still are super powerful. But Deku's constructs are pretty creative at sometimes because Deku is, imaginative. Deku also has the ability to fly, breathe in space, and also Green Lanterns are super durable, super strong, pretty much superhuman agility, speed, reflexes, and strength. No, superhuman strength and durability. Also, they have the ability to, what you would call it, read other alien languages, or pretty much understand other alien languages and also speak them. And he's also able to, what you call it, I think it was something else. And he has a many, Green Lanterns have a bunch of other powers that I'm not going to really get into right now, but those are the main powers that Deku will learn how to use off the bat. Now, basically, Deku, let's go over it again. Construct making, superhuman strength, durability, the ability to breathe in space, flight, and I think it was the ability to read alien languages and speak them. So, yeah, there's many more powers from that, but I'm just gonna list those. So basically, let's start. Basically, let's get back into the story. Basically, Deku, appears out of the smoke with the Green Lantern ring on his finger, and basically, Deku sees a green energy from the ring go around his body, basically making a suit around his body. Deku appears with a suit similar to this. They're actually looking exactly like this. Basically, looking at his hand, seeing the Green Lantern ring. No, this will be Deku's hero costume. So, basically, Deku looks at his ring, and basically, the Guardians of Oa send a pretty much a transmission to the ring, giving Deku some knowledge on the, ring, giving Deku the ability to use some green constructs, and that was basically it. Pretty much Deku runs over to, what's it called? Deku runs over to the sludge villain, shooting out three, three energy spikes. Deku's confused and also very surprised, and also feels like this is natural. Deku says this is this is amazing. Deku dodged a few other attacks from the sludge villain after the sludge villain actually did let go of Bakugo because of the green light. Deku uses pretty much a creativity or like a pretty much a OP move and makes some sort of vacuum and sucks up the sludge villain, putting it into a Green Lantern pretty much ball and squeezing it into the green until the sludge villain is pretty much the size of a marble. Basically, giving the police enough time for the sludge villain to be transported into, max security jail. Basically, Deku looks around, and basically heroes look at Deku and says, "What the?" And Deku basically flies off at supersonic speeds, because I'm pretty sure, Green Lanterns can fly pretty fast. But basically, pretty much Deku flies off, flying around, Japan, keeping a low profile, but not enough not, a big, low profile, because Deku's wearing a bright green costume with glowing light on it. Like, that's not really conspicuous. Basically Deku loses the police, And basically, no one really saw Deku's face because Deku just rushed in there. So basically, Deku, flies down on the building of his house, and basically looks at the ring, and the suit goes back or it disappears back into the ring. Deku's confused and basically says, "What the?" And we skip to the 10-month art training. Basically, Deku skipped the last day of school to train with the Green Lantern ring, and also Deku went to the, Dekio Beach, training with the Green Lantern ring. Deku started training with the Green Lantern ring, and basically over and over, basically trying to do that whole entire thing when he shooted an energy construct. Eventually, it was like nighttime of the first day of his beginning of the 10-month art training, and Deku was about to give up, but he was stopped by a huge thud behind him, like some sort of meteor crash, kind of like how the Green Lantern ring came to Deku. Deku looks behind himself and he sees some sort of big alien creature with purple skin and looks like a freaking what you call it, a pink ogre of some sort, or like a warthog. Basically, Deku says, "Stay back," and basically pulls out the ring, shooting at a bolt of green energy. Surprisingly, Deku, seeing that maybe it's triggered on emotion, the Green Lantern or the pig person dodges it, with ease, basically saying, "I'm not here to hurt you, kid. I'm here to infer you on your power." Basically, they sit down and they talk for about, let's say, 20 minutes, and Deku, basically gets talked about the whole entire Guardians of the Oa and Green Lantern's abilities and their powers, and also their duty to protect their home worlds, but also to protect the universe. Basically, Deku will be going on space missions every once in a while, every once, apart, and basically Deku actually will be doing a space mission on part 2 after the whole entire combat training. So yeah, so basically Deku pretty much, says, so that's it. Basically, the pigman pretty much says, yes, you have a duty to the universe and your planet. You are Earth's designated Green Lantern. You're Earth's champion. Basically, Deku says that's amazing. Basically, pretty much the pig guy says, "Well, I'll have to be leaving now, but I hope you know how much power you have." The Guardians of Oa saw an incredible potential in you, and they saw that you had so much willpower. Deku says, "Willpower? I do have a lot of willpower." And you said the Green Lantern ring is powered by willpower, right? The stronger your will, the stronger the ring is. And basically, pretty much the Pigman says yes. They said you have a godly amount of willpower. So you're basically OP. So basically, the Green Lantern says, "See you around, Izuku Midoriya," and flies off into the sky, leaving the planet. Deku looks up in the sky and looks at his ring, saying that, well, that was weird. Basically saying, wait, what about the lantern charger? What? Basically, Deku being hit behind the head by some sort of lantern, and basically gets back up, seeing the lantern there giving off green energy. Now, Deku just got his ring, like 2 days ago, so basically Deku didn't really need a charge. So basically Deku just took the lantern, because the lantern was, floating, so Deku just picked up the lantern, grabbed it from the sky, or the, uh, levitation, or levitating, and pretty much grabbed it, pretty much walking off, and going to, home, pretty much, getting back up and saying, so, I have to do an oath. Now, basically, the guy did, pretty much give Deku a script or like a paper saying the whole entire oath. But basically, Deku read it and started memorizing it over the time with art training, finding out how to use the Green Lantern ring at all times. Deku also writing down all the, progress he got with the Green Lantern ring in his notebook. Deku basically developing all the powers of Green Lantern, superhuman strength, durability, senses, I think, and also speed, and also flight. The ability to breathe in space. Deku found that out from the Pigman, because the Pigman told Deku this, and basically Deku flew into space, flying around and going to the moon for a few minutes, basically flying back to Earth. Basically, Deku is, pretty surprised at this. But Deku just, what you call it, shrugs it off and gets ready for, basically, his training. Now, Deku has already been trained and also already, discovered all of his abilities and has already mastered them enough. So basically, Deku's used about 5 months of him just training with the Green Lantern ring. But now Deku wants to train his physical body because what if the Green Lantern ring was ever separated from him? And that's what Deku told himself. So Deku started training his physical body, like, in canon, and basically getting the same body that he got in, original canon, but a little bit not that perfected, but enough to, handle his own in a fight pretty much better than he originally could. Basically, Deku learned a lot more about combat strategy from the knowledge of Oa, basically knowing how to fight in, alien, what was it, combat training, knowing how to box, knowing karate now, and basically Deku having a black belt in karate, and Deku also being able to box pretty well. So basically, Deku was a pretty, pretty much a pretty a strong foe without the Green Lantern ring, but still Deku could be beaten by somebody that had a strong quirk, because Deku, if he was ever separated from the Green Lantern ring, he would still be, kind of weak, but Deku could handle his own in a fight. So basically, Deku trained his physical body for about the next 4 months, and basically, during the last month, Deku trained his full body and everything, pretty much training in how to use the Green Lantern ring and his creativity, basically cleaning up Daigyo Beach in that one day, pretty much just using the trash to do, target practice. Basically decorating his target practice on point and basically getting, his physical body as best as he can. Deku also, learning all of his abilities and Deku getting a pretty good, amount of knowledge of the Green Lantern ring in his, system or his brain. Deku eventually gets ready and they get started. The Deku gets started and goes to the Intrigue exams the first day, or the end of the day of the 10-month arc training, going to the pretty much what's called the Intrigue exams, bumping into Ochaku and still helping her up. Now, guys, what should you know what? I'm gonna be shipping Deku with, I think, maybe I may be shipping Deku with Ochaku, basically just because I haven't done a lot of Ochaku ships. So yeah. So basically, guys, after this what if, I am gonna be uploading I am gonna be uploading what if Deku was Shazam. I mean, no, I'm gonna be uploading what if Deku was Kryptonian Part 2, and also I'm gonna be uploading what if Deku was Nick Wilde Part 2, and also gonna be uploading what if Deku was Shazam. I mean, what if Shazam was in the Invincible universe. So yeah, but because, I'm about to end this what if pretty quickly, but yeah, let's get into it. But basically, Deku gets ready and goes, into the entrance exams, and pretty much gets scolded by, or pretty much gets talked at by Ida when Deku tries to talk or say hi to Ochaku. Ida stops Deku saying, don't, pretty much, what was it? Distract her, and Deku says, get your hands off me before I hit you or hurt you. Pretty much Ida says, are you threatening me? And Deku says, yes, I am threatening you. You little... And pretty much Deku about to cuss or about to, talk about Ida's wacky design or wacky clothes, pretty much wearing a full-on Speedo. Basically, before he can say anything, what was it? The intro exam starts and everybody gets told to go and get ready. Pretty much Deku flies off past everybody flying up in the sky. Pretty much everybody being impressed because flight quirks nowadays are pretty rare, and flight quirks like Deku's is pretty rare. Basically, Deku's starting to fly around, and everybody's seeing Deku in the sky, seeing him being, having green energy glowing from holes or circles of energy around his suit, like this or like that. Basically, having green energy around Deku. Deku flying around, pretty much leaving a green streak of light, a green streak of energy as he flies, shooting lasers, and also squishing robots with huge, mallets out of his constructs, basically making buses and trains out of his contracts, rolling over, robots. Deku eventually comes across the Zero Point robot, basically about to fly away because it's not worth it. But Deku's seeing Ochaku under some rubble, trying to help her. Deku flies over there and pretty much picks up the rubble as he lands with the Green Lantern ring, grabs Ochaku and flies her out of there. But Deku is caught under some debris, or pretty much Deku's arm, the arm that doesn't have the Green Lantern ring. Deku gets caught on that, and pretty much the Zero Point robot flings Deku in the sky. Deku gains his composure in the sky, flying back into the Zero Point robot's head, flying through it, taking the Zero Point robot in a matter of seconds. Deku grabbing Chaku, taking her to Recovery Girl, and Deku going back into the pretty much entrance exam, pretty much taking down more robots, getting more points, and eventually getting told to go home after the bell rings, or the basically sensor rings, and everybody goes back home. Deku gets to know from Yue that he got in, and is super, surprised, and also super, excited. Basically, Deku goes back to Yue and walks into class 1A, seeing a couple other students and also seeing Ochaku. Ochaku runs with the Deku and hugs him, saying, "Thank you for saving me, and also, you are incredibly strong." Basically, Ochaku saying, "What's your quirk?" Basically, Deku saying, "Well," and basically everybody says, "Oh, hold on. You're that green guy. You're the guy that could fly and shoot some sort of lasers or some shit. Or some shiz." Basically, Deku says, "Yeah, I'm pretty much being, stuttered or being pretty much, interrupted by Izawa. Izawa telling the class to get ready and they go outside for quirk assessments. They go outside and Deku's told to throw the ball first because he got the highest score in the entrance exams. Deku grabs the ball, chucking it into space using his superhuman strength. Deku looks at Bakugo, and Bakugo gets super angry at this, pretty much walking up to Deku and says, "You quirkless nerd, you hid your power of me. You hid your power to me all these years." Basically, Deku saying, "Wait, Bakugo, you better chill out before you get getting closer." Bakugo gets closer, basically saying, "I'm gonna kill you." And Deku says, "You're not gonna kill anybody." Pretty much shooting a bolt of energy in Bakugo's head, or at Bakugo's head, taking out Bakugo and knocking him out. Basically, Ozawa says, "Stop," and pretty much uses his quirk on Deku. Deku seeing Ozawa using that quirk, Ozawa seeing that it's doing nothing to Deku. Ozawa's confused, basically looking at Deku's ring, saying, "What is that?" Deku says, it's my," and pretty much Deku trying to think of some sort of way to turn this into something, but Deku says, "It's my support item. It helps me harness my power." Pretty much Ozawa says, "Okay." Ozawa believes that for some reason, and basically, for the remainder of the test, Deku aces all of them, basically flying over the long jump, basically just getting an amazing score at the race, flying past everybody, and also for the the grip test rank, that gets a pretty good score, and also for the that's basically it. So basically, Deku gets the highest score, and Moneta is expelled. He gets booted off, basically, and Bakugo, still being knocked out. And Bakugo did have to retake the test, and Bakugo did get the same score that he got in canon. If he got first place, now Bakugo got second place. If Todoroki got second place, now Todoroki got third place, whatever. So basically, Deku goes, back home, and pretty much, looks at the Guardians, pretty much getting teleported to Oa in the middle of the night. And Deku taking a nap, and Deku going to sleep that night, waking up in some sort of room at Oa, or basically at the Green Lantern planet. Deku wakes up in his Green Lantern suit, pretty much looking around and walking around closer and closer and closer around Oa. Deku arrives at Oa, basically walking around, seeing a huge Green Lantern Corps, and basically seeing Green Lanterns flying around and seeing buildings that look super futuristic and alien-like. And Deku saying, "Is this?" And basically Deku being, pretty much, being introduced to the fish guy, or the fish Green Lantern. Hey guy, so basically Deku meets up with the fish man, or the fish Green Lantern, and basically is told by the Green Lantern that I'm gonna be showing you around Oa. Pretty much Deku is taken around Oa and meets up with the Guardians of Oa. Basically the all-knowing, beings. Basically, they tell Deku that you are one of the human Green Lanterns. One of the human Green Lanterns with the most willpower I've ever seen in all my existing of living. It's only one instance where I've seen any individual with the amount of willpower that you have. And that was the very first human Green Lantern, 1,000 years ago. He was a Green Lantern in the Egyptian court, in the Egyptian times, in your planet's, well, history. He died, sadly, 4 years after we gave the Green Lantern to him, by a tragic accident of him being decapitated by a Red Lantern. Ever since we've been at war with with the Red Lanterns, even before that incident. Basically, Deku says, so I'm supposed to be Earth's champion? The Guardians of Oa says yes. And basically, they summon the green hog, or like the hog person, and pretty much the pig, Green Lantern. Basically, Deku was told by the pig man, or the Green Lantern pig, basically being told by him that I'm going to be training you for the next week. Basically, on Oa, time moves normal, but on Earth, in the span, it can be like years on Oa. On Earth, it will basically feel like, what you call it, basically, they pretty much train Deku for about a week, but they sent Deku back to Earth at the same night that he was teleported away. So Deku was confused, but Deku, just goes to sleep. Basically, not really questioning the time lapse of Earth and Oa. Now, basically, Deku was trained in combat skills, having more combat skill than he did originally, and Deku also being able to, making a lot more bigger constructs, and being told by the pigman to give into your, pretty much creativity. Deku also finding out how to use illusions. Now, that was actually one of the other powers that Green Lanterns have. Green Lanterns have the ability to make illusions out of Green Lantern rings. And sometimes they can make illusions out of Green Lantern rings that actually look like humans. So that was a case that Deku could do. Deku could make illusions out of the Green Lantern ring. So yeah, so basically Deku can make illusions out of the Green Lantern ring, and that's how Deku, trained. Train his illusions to become as human, or as pretty much close as possible to human. So basically, Deku teleports back to Earth, going to sleep that night, basically being pretty sore because Deku was trained for a pretty long amount of time. But Deku also, pretty much running into a few other Green Lantern women, and Deku being a little bit attracted to them. Basically, just, shrugging it off, going to sleep that night. So guys, should I introduce another Green Lantern, a Green Lantern, Green Lantern woman that should be shipped with Deku? Or should Deku be shipped with Ochaku or somebody else in Class 1A? So guys, go in the comments and ask me, and also guys, go in the comments and ask me, should I make anybody else in Class 1A a Green Lantern, or should I introduce the female Green Lantern for the ship? So your choice, guys. So basically, after this, what if I'm gonna be uploading what if Deku was Nick Wilde Part 2, what if Deku was Kryptonian Part 2, and also I'm gonna be uploading what if Shazam was in the Invincible universe. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys later. Bye. As always, guys, have a blessed day. Also, guys, share, because I gotta get my views up, my guy. My views is just going down. See you guys later. Bye. See you guys later. Bye, and have a blessed day.